So last year, my husband and I did some remodeling that left us with a lot of bare walls. For a while, we just didn't know what to do. Until recently, I found an idea of a picture frame accent wall, so I decided to give it a go. Let's see how it turns out. I went to my favorite thrift store and got a bunch of old wall art. I only want the frames for this project, so I started taking everything apart using some basic tools in my garage. I unscrewed the hardware on the back of the frames and then went through and removed all of the paper backing. Depending on how the art is secured, you'll likely need some pliers, and for this one I used a screwdriver as well to take out all of the little pieces holding the art in. I worked my way through each piece, removing everything, so I was left with just the frames. I like the size and shape of these frames, so that's why I decided to use them, but to save time, you can also find some empty frames, sometimes on places like Facebook Marketplace or thrift store. I actually did go back to a different thrift store that I like as well and got some empty frames to add more to my project. And I found this really cute wall shelf that's going to add some great dimension. Once I had all of my empty frames, I went through with the sanding block to get all of that paper backing off and sanded the front and sides as well. This preps the entire piece for painting, especially for the ones that have a little bit of varnish on them. And of course, I made sure to save all of that leftover hardware to use for future upcycling projects. And now it's time to start painting. I'm using my leftover wall paint because I want most of the frames to be the same color as the wall. And this provides a nice backdrop to the accent wall, and other pops of color will be added later on. For each frame, I applied 2 to 3 coats of the paint. I painted the front and the sides, but when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're painting the inside pieces as well. This is because the frames are going up on the wall empty, and you want to make sure that little edge on the inside has the same paint color as well. Next, I measured my wall space and laid out a sheet to plan where each piece was going to go. I incorporated some of my existing home decor and family pictures. I chose 3 frames to add some color and painted them to match our home furnishings. We have several beachy wood pieces that are distressed and have a lot of blues and aquas, so I took the time to paint each of these frames to correspond with those colors. And now it's time to start hanging the pieces on the wall. I started with the frames that are the same color as the wall. For these I used a hammer, level, nails, and a pencil to mark where I wanted to put the nails. I worked my way through hanging each of the frames. I marked the first spot where I wanted to hammer in that nail and put that in the wall. Then I used my level to make sure the frame was level and marked another area to hang the second nail. And now it's time to add some colorful wall art and textured pieces to give the whole wall more dimension. Some of these require a little bit more measuring and finesse when hanging, and as you can see, I got my husband to help when wall anchors were needed. Other than a few pictures, most of these items are all upcycled. I absolutely love repurposing old items or things that I find at the thrift store into my home decor. And now it's time to add some family pictures with those painted picture frames. I took out that standard photo frame backing to use for another picture frame, and on the back I secured the picture with a little bit of tape. Then I used my staple gun to add a picture hanging wire. This makes it easier to hang and level. And now for the final touch. This last piece is one of our recent family photos that I had printed on a canvas. This accent wall was such a fun project. It makes our living room look so much bigger. I hope you've enjoyed watching. If you like this idea, be sure to check out my other videos where I share lots of DIY and upcycling inspiration. Happy crafting!